Hello, today is Monday, May 18th, and it's wonderful to see so many services slowly reopening at the hospital. I doubt we will ever complain again about having a high census. It does feel good to be busy in caring for our community. One department that has been consistently busy at Silver Cross is the pharmacy. And here with me today is Mike Sweany, the Pharmacy Clinical Director. And welcome, Mike. Is it okay to take off our masks?
Yes.
All righty. So, Mike, you're a PharmD. Is that right?
Correct.
Can you explain what that means?
Sure. So I actually have a BS, a Bachelor's in Science, and a doctorate in pharmacy as well. Now they only offer a doctorate in pharmacy.
Okay.
The doctorate in pharmacy is actually geared more towards clinical pharmacy training. So to be trained to be a pharmacist is at a hospital.
Okay.
So a little bit different.
So specialty recognition for working in a hospital.
Yes.
And
correct.
how long have you been at Silver Cross?
I've been here now for 7 years, and I've been in this role for about 5 years.
Wow, that's wonderful. I'm so glad that you choose to be here. You've
Thank you.
offered us a great deal of expertise over the years. So pharmacy plays a really important role at the hospital. Why don't we just start there on what is the role of the PharmDs here and the pharmacy overall?
Sure. So the clinical pharmacy staff here is very important. They have a big contribution here at the hospital. So, in fact, the clinical pharmacy staff that we have here is something you would probably find at like a larger academic institution. We're really lucky to have like the service that we have here today. Now, the clinical pharmacist, on an average daily basis, typical what they do is they review medications medications that are going on the floors. They look for side effects, and they also inform the medical staff and the nursing of the correct way to use medications. So that's normal.
So they're an important part of the clinical team.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But we actually have some services here that are kind of above and beyond like the typical. So the pharmacists are involved at like all levels of hospitalization for the patients. So for example, they are in the emergency room department looking at medications of patients coming into the hospital, making sure that their meds are correct as they enter the hospital. So, and then they also do that on the back end as well. So when patients are discharged, they also look at those medications and make sure that the changes we've done here at the hospital are captured.
Okay.
And make sure those patients go home with the right medications as well.
So it's just another way that Silver Cross makes sure that patients are safe here,
Right.
and probably contributes to our Leapfrog A in many, many
Absolutely.
different ways.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that the pharmacy works on all the time is antibiotic stewardship.
Correct.
And I know I've read a lot in the literature about overuse of antibiotics. So how does pharmacy work with our team here so that we don't overuse antibiotics?
Sure. And antibiotic stewardship is like a huge collaborative effort. It's not just pharmacy. I mean, we work with the ID physicians, hospital administration, laboratory, infection control. I mean, there's a lot of people involved in just antibiotic stewardship. But the pharmacist, like, main goal is they actually look at all antibiotics that are being prescribed in the hospital, look at the daily use of those medications, monitor patients for improvement. They make recommendations for dosing to physicians. They do a lot of things with that. They've looked at potential infections that may result from overuse of antibiotics, so C. diff. We've done a lot of work about reducing C. diff infections here as well.
Which has been always a big concern, and I think we're doing quite well on that.
We're doing excellent.
Yeah. And so, how has pharmacy's role changed during COVID-19? What new things did you have to do?
There's been a lot of changes with that as it came aboard. So we started looking at this pretty early. So I believe in the end of January, we had the first case in the Chicagoland area.
Right.
We started contacting ID physicians about what were potential treatments for COVID-19. Now, we had information about other coronaviruses that are out there. And we looked at that information, talked to ID about should we start procuring some of these meds right away, anticipating shortages of them coming and so forth like that. So then as information came out of Seattle about the mechanical ventilation of some of these patients and the extraordinary needs that they had. There's medications they use to sedate patients as they're mechanically ventilated. And we anticipated shortages for those meds as well. So we started talking to intensivists about what kind of meds we should use, what kind of meds we should get, potential alternatives we could use to help with those potential shortages we could face.
Right, and at Command Center, it's reported every day how we're doing on medication supply, and I think we've done quite well.
We have.
Right. So how did the team in pharmacy handle the pandemic together?
The team did a phenomenal job.
Really?
They did great. I mean, the first questions that the staff started having was how to help nursing and how to reduce PPE. So the pharmacy technicians that we have started asking right away is like what kind of medications should be in the Pyxis machines. They took requests from nurses. They talked to me about what medications should be in those machines and how to stock those correctly. The pharmacists were looking at conglomerating medication administration times. So if it's a medication that's given 4 times a day versus twice a day, can we get those times coinciding with each other to minimize the amount of times that the nursing went into those rooms and also to minimize the amount of PPE that they used.
Yeah, I'm sure nursing really appreciated that.
They did. In fact, it was a big request after the first day we did that.
Yeah.
So it's like, 'cause you do that all the time.
So that might be just a change in practice going forward, COVID or not COVID.
Potentially.
Which is really interesting. There's a lot of things that we've learned through this that we just may do differently in the future.
Yeah. And not just in the hospital as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So yesterday, I heard we got our first allocation of remdesivir. Did I say that correctly? Remdesivir.
Yes.
And that was pretty exciting. Can you explain why?
Well, up to now, we haven't had a lot of great treatments for COVID-19. So I know you've heard about hydroxychloroquine.
Yes.
And that was one of the first medications we were anticipating to have some results with that drug. There was also an antiviral for AIDS patients that they were using in China as well. We were hopeful that would work too. The results have not been really dramatic. Okay. So otherwise, most of our medication we've been using is all supportive for the infection. Remdesivir is the first antiviral medication, the first direct treatment for COVID-19 patients that we have. Now, originally was supposed to be used for Ebola virus. Interesting. So it's been sitting on a shelf apparently for a few years, and they've started to trial it for COVID-19 patients. The initial results, it does decrease length of stay. It may not affect mortality, but as data comes out, we'll see how that changes. But it's the first positive results of any kind of medication we've had.
And it's helping people recover faster?
Correct. That is the reports from the studies so far.
Wow, that's really good news. And thank you for leading that effort here at Silver Cross. So anything you would like to just say to your team?
My staff was phenomenal during all of this. So I cannot tell you how lucky and fortunate I am to have the staff that we have. We attract some talent here at Silver Cross that is excellent. So I'm so proud of all of them.
Well, I am too, and I'm proud of you. You've done an amazing job. You've stayed calm. You've attacked the problem, and thank you. And thank you to everybody in the pharmacy department for the wonderful work you've been doing. Thanks. Mike.